Hey guys, what's up? You're back for another episode of Safasti Presents Melumerai, show about what's happened, what's happening, and what will happen in the Malaysian creative arts industry. Um, like the previous two episodes, like I haven't been changing clothes. That's probably because this is the first time I'm being efficient with the scheduling for my guests and having all three of them, three guests in the same day. But that's also why my brain capacity a bit low for today. I mean, for this particular episode. But it's also Kin, who I've appreciated as my nemesis for the past 6 months he's been around, because he's really given me a hard time in general about my opinions and the way that I see things. Hello, Kin. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me,
Whoa.
Farhan. Oh,
Yeah.
is it better now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Nice way to go ahead and antagonize me in the first freelance sentence, but hi, I'm Kid.
uh, I think it's a good relationship lah. Like I feel like it's a good relationship that I have with you because you kind of are kind of a person that I feel does similar things with me, like cut out the bullshit. So sometimes I realize also I go on like unnecessary tantrums and shit when you're just like cutting it out. So it's good, but I'll just introduce a little bit. For what I know, he just came to Safe House to one of our parties alone, because he recently came back from studying abroad, and he was just trying to get to know people, and he thought that Safe House was like a preferred place to go to. Um, yeah, and then since then we've just like communicated every once in a while, him coming to the place quite often and just discussing about art and the art industry and everything in general. So I thought it'd be apt to have him on the show. Yeah, so Ken is primarily a graphic designer, but he's also dabbling with a lot with like design in general. Um, and he's been getting like steady stream of clients, I would say, from what I've heard, and doing pretty good for himself as a freelancer.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like steady though, but yeah, it's been all right, I would say.
Considering that you just graduated, you kind of that you know it's kind of seamless from your like after your academic career into an actual freelancing career was pretty seamless for you in Malaysia.
Yeah, in Malaysia, yeah, but it took me a while to actually get into the freelancing because I actually graduated in 2019.
Mm.
And everyone knows like when I graduated, and then it's 2020 year of COVID as well, so it took a while to really even get any freelance.
Mm.
But at that time I was in the Netherlands. I was trying really hard to just find a proper job because I need like a full-time job to get a visa as well, which obviously I failed, and
That's why you're back here.
that's why I'm back here though. But
Plan B.
plan B, but definitely it's been kind, Malaysia has been kind to me, and I've been getting some stuff here as well and meeting,
Yeah.
new circles of people, and which I really appreciate. I'm always trying to not create or not even like hit like a community, but I'm always really community driven person
Yeah.
as well. And I think these are more important than like having,
A career.
let's say, well, it
That's
comes with that
debatable,
though. It
yeah.
comes with that as
Yeah.
well. And yeah,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I'm happy to be here though.
I've seen you quite a lot, and like what the funny thing was that there will always be people that I bring around, or for some fucking reason, even though he hasn't been around that much, like everyone knows him, and it's just weird. I mean, maybe it comes with just like him socializing alone, not really dependent on any group of people or friends, which is like a big part. But like, it's funny how like extensive your network has become in like such a short amount of time, and maybe that is because of your shared interest or like appreciation for the arts or the community, that community driven aspect, which is cool. Like, do you want to like talk a little bit more about how like you approach things and like being part of assimilating into the creative communities in Malaysia?
um, I wouldn't say like I have like this motive to always
Connect.
connect or
Yeah.
network, because I really hate this word, to be honest. It's like there is like this intention behind, when you talk to people and stuff. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't see myself as doing that in particular, but I would just say I would keep an open mind towards things and people when I talk to them. And if they're in the creative scene or something, I'm really like into most of the creative scene. Let's say, I'm into also, I don't know, like fashion, let's say, for
Yeah.
example, or video making. I'm not sure, but I'm down for all of this. I want to talk to people about this, and I'm really into different practices in general because I think I'm not the person to confine myself in a certain, let's say, my forte, graphic design. I don't want to confine myself within the graphic design circle because that for me can be really like suffocating.
Yeah.
Because you see the same thing, you talk to the same people, and you always have this similar opinion towards things. And
It creates like a bubble.
Exactly, yeah. And I would rather not have that bubble.
Yeah, but also like the graphic design community isn't too large in Malaysia also, so you might end up just talking to the same kinds of same people in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, my point was more just like you don't tend to shy away from just like showing up by yourself and really introducing who you are. Because if it was for me, like I'm not that type of person at all. Like I don't. I mean, I do it for the podcast because I don't know, it's just content. So I'm okay with it, but like I don't necessarily go to places by myself and just like talk to interact with people. Even though there's a shared interest, I just don't. That's not something that I do. So it is like it's good to know that like there are people who just like don't really shy away from saying hi, and like communicating and interacting with new people. Because I really think that's how communities start to develop. Having that bubble in the first place is like the total opposite of where you want to be as an artist or like in the community, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the ideas become contrived and just like repetitive and redundant most of the time.
Yeah, I think there's also one other note that I would like to say about like bubbles. Well, of course, this is not like I'm not trying to generalize all bubbles are like this though, but I would say maybe the thing that I hate about bubbles is that are quite exclusive.
I mean, yeah, that's the nature of bubbles. Yeah,
Probably that's the nature of bubbles, but I'm just not a big fan of like we know what is cool right now, and then you shouldn't join in or people shouldn't join anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm always about having more people. Like the more the merrier, and then or if they're trying to learn something or just trying to find out what it is about, why don't we like have them in and talk to them and teach them and educate a little bit or.
I mean, that comes to sort of like intimidation now because I feel like for me, at least I can be a little bit confident that I'm able to talk to certain people or like the general population of creatives and artists because I have like this like an appropriate amount of like knowledge regarding it, so I can hold a discussion and conversation. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have the education, so it kind of becomes intimidating when you're coming to a place and they're playing like really obscure music or they're wearing super trendy clothes and stuff. And I do see that was initially what Safe House appeared to a lot of people, but like we've been aggressively trying to open ourselves and becoming like more inclusive in our approach. And but dude, definitely the exclusivity part plays a part in why people don't want to join, like why people cannot really intermingle and why people are like intimidated at first.
Yeah.
You don't think that like your confidence is mostly because you're able to hold a discussion?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, confidence of course plays like a big part in like trying to reach out to certain crowds that you're not comfortable with or like you're not familiar at all. But I think also a big part of it, at least for me, has to be just being like, I know it's gonna sound a bit cliche and stuff. It's being open-minded.
Yeah.
Like you just shouldn't expect like, like if I see this crowd, they're playing like intense music, like they're dancing like barbarians, like you shouldn't just associate them with certain things,
Yeah, but there's already a judgment there.
Yeah, but then like I'm just giving an example, though.
Yeah.
So it can be anything because anything goes, right? In this sense, and just.
How's it been like with the communities that you have tried to talk to in Malaysia? Has everyone been pretty receptive of like someone who just came in that sense? Were there communities that were like, we want to maintain a bubble and we don't want to like let newcomers come in?
Well, I'll be honest, I haven't really been to a lot of communities since
Sure
I'm
not.
back. Yeah, for sure, man.
How do people know you?
How do who know me?
How does Jonah know you and this fucking Dan know you?
Well, I mean, because like...
I'm always surprised. And like, oh, you know Ken? And they're like, yeah.
No, I mean, well, Jonah was introduced to me from Dylan, though. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to know the little bit of details, but yeah, I just went also to his studio and I just met him once,
Yeah.
and we
Exactly.
just made friends, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't gone to the studio, because I don't think I have, like, I'm that comfortable just going to places like
yeah,
that.
just be ballsy enough, no? Like just
Most of the time they are nice lah.
yeah, yeah,
Most of the time they are receptive.
yeah,
Surprisingly, as long as you're honest about it and not like trying to say, oh, I'm here to like shit on you and judge you and shit like that.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think open mind is definitely a big part. Um okay, so that's number one, knowledge. Number two is open mindedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the other one, I'm a little bit brain farting here as well, but I think also you got to be really, if you're talking in the context of like the creative scene, you should know like your people somehow. You know, even if you don't know them directly. But for example, I knew Safe House when I was in the Netherlands already.
Oh really?
Yeah, yeah. Like I think Eugene and Dylan told me about it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's a space in Malaysia that allows this kind of
Things.
things and community to foster and parties and stuff. So yeah, and I knew you before I even came here. I'm like, okay,
Oh no way.
yeah, this is a place I want to come and just like meet you
Right.
guys, and yeah, get to know people.
Dude, but you're right. Like that is something that a lot of people kind of like overlook.
Yeah.
It's just doing the simple research. I mean, I wouldn't call it research, but it's just like it's not that hard to find out a little bit more about the people around you, the creatives and the communities around
Yeah,
you. All you have to
definitely.
do is just go on Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah,
Sometimes when I invite people like Nessie last episode, I've met her once and we never really talked. And then I just invited her on because I am precisely trying to like get to know her, more about her. But at
Yeah.
least beforehand, I just go through her Instagram and see like her past work and generally understand, get to know people because I mean, it doesn't take too much, and I think it goes a long way with just being able to communicate with them and understanding where they are at, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I don't think a lot of people really do that. I think a lot of people overlook just doing simple research about who they're going with, and I've had people who who like DM Safe House and be like, hey, can I rent this place?
Yeah,
And then they're expecting it to be like some kind of studio that they can take pictures. You get it?
yeah, yeah.
And that
Oh
kind
my
of shit
lord.
pisses me off. I'm just like, just go to the Instagram,
Yeah, dude, it's
Like,
public
what the
though, you know?
fuck? Like, it's not that we don't have any pictures of the place, So, reaching out is a big part of like community building, and I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about community in the first place is because it to me it is the thriving force of like the creative arts in general. The more that I talk to people, the more that I realize that there are relations that are in tandem with each other that build the scene or the industry to become larger than what it is. And if there's no community, then there might not exist such a strong hold of whatever it is now that's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So even though you are a graphic designer and you do work by yourself, there is a strong sense of like learning and growth from the people that you meet, right?
Definitely, yeah.
How does that happen? Like, like you said, you don't just stick around with the graphic designers. You also talk to musicians or you dabble with fashion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you get to learn, different things and get influences and references from other places?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's good you mentioned this because I specifically like dabble in different things because I want to learn from different things, like from all these different fields. And what was that? My train of thought again, though.
You wanna learn different things.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking more like the community.
Yeah.
You can cut this
No,
part.
it's fine. Like,
Okay.
it's okay. Like, I mean, it's fine. Like, what I wanted to say is that, you don't just like stick in your bubble and like you have to like branch out for other things. That's precisely because if you simply just stick in a bubble of like graphic designers and
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
it becomes redundant what the art is.
Oh yeah.
Because it doesn't grow out of the things that they already know.
I got my train of thought back, so I know what I was going to say. So, at least where I studied, or where I also used to study in Dasein in Malaysia, this college. So
Design.
yeah, Dasein in Wangsa Maju. No.
Never heard.
Okay, so
Okay.
at least from my experiences as practicing designer and as a design student before, they always advocate for like a lot of individuality. Like to be a good designer, you have to have somewhat your own style, you know, or like your own way of working or your own methodology towards design. And that is ingrained in a lot of design students. And when they graduate, they think, or at least how I would think myself in the beginning, that to have a sizable amount of success, you have to have this individual style and sense or like direction that you want to push forward to. And I later think that this might not always be the case. Because for me, I think like good work, like really good work, is always like collaborative. Because yes, you can have this vision, but you aren't able to like execute everything like, you know, like to raise a shot without like a good team or like some form of idea throwing between different creatives doing, you know. So yeah, this is I think my biggest force, to like meet people and just get to know different industries and mingle around, because I am also like in some way looking for people to, let's say, work with, you know, but then or just like
networking.
Well, not really networking, but
that's exactly what that is.
it's not networking. Like I mean, I'm not doing anything with you at the moment though now, right?
Not yet.
Well, come on, it's just like I just don't like to be have this vision, have this super strong vision of mine, and it's unchanging, and that I believe in it forever. Like I really hate this kind of you know, this rhetoric of having your own thing.
The
and it's
ego.
there for the ego. I don't believe that though. Because it changes.
I mean, also I did for you to be able to execute larger, you know, more impactful projects or bodies of work. Sometimes it's just difficult to just do it by yourself. I had the same conversation with Nessie earlier. Was that more and more you realize once you're in doing work, that regardless of how, you know, individual you think that work is, it's always in tandem with other players that you have. I mean, obviously graphic designers, if you say one graphic designer and you have one client, one freelancer and one client, sure, there's like individual relationship, but by that in itself, you're already working with someone else, you know, and you're kind of like talking and communicating and understanding what they want from the work. And that is just, I think that's the most minimal form of it. In almost every other art form, you're always going to play with other players, like music, for film or fashion. You're always going to meet like some other person that does another part of that product.
Definitely,
and what I'm understanding now, or like what I'm realizing, is it's much more I don't want to say easier, or much more attainable to do more impactful and larger bodies of work in collaboration with other parties or other people, you know, because it's
definitely
you pull in the effort together, and you're able to execute it without, you know, straining to the limitations of what you can do yourself.
But that's also the bane of design sometimes, graphic design at least, you know, like do you always have this but you mentioned just now this ego thing, you know, that that maybe there's this massive push for one singular thing, or to find this satisfaction, you have to like complete it yourself somehow. Which I used to agree with this though, you know, like to have
I don't
good
think
work.
so, man.
I now I don't think so either, you know, because people that do this, I'm gonna take myself as an example because I don't want to like offend people.
It's okay, keep going. I mean, you don't have to name names if you don't want to.
No, it's more like people that do this, they might have a
complex.
Well, I wouldn't say complex though. It's more it's hard for them to trust other people, maybe.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And to trust others with this whole creative process that might not have the same, let's say, outline or background as you, and they might see things differently as you. And to trust one is hard enough. To trust a whole team, that's a big effort, you know. And also with this comes with this interpersonal skills that you have to manage, talking to people and how to throw ideas without actually showing references sometimes, and just like talking. So
that's the thing. Like some people think being an artist is just one art, you know, it's just one thing. You know, I'm an artist,
never,
but
though.
it's just also a job. You have to work with other people, and for you to actually achieve, like for film, like a film, for example, you know, who can make a movie by themselves?
Yeah, it's impossible.
You know, I don't, I mean, like okay, whatever, a short film even, you know, I
Yeah.
was wanted to say a full feature length, but like a short film, 10 minutes. I mean, maybe it's possible for you to do it yourself, but it will be incredibly difficult for you to achieve that like simple feat in comparison to you having a team and being able to work with each other and understanding that the collective vision
Yeah.
for the product is better than just your own, you know, particular ego that you want from it.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
also for, say for us, like we've wanted to do content for a long time, but you never, like for YouTube obviously it's like difficult for you to be able to do content like where you make money.
Hmm.
So we're just like, fuck it, we're not gonna do that. So we want to do like really quality, proper content. And even then, we're not able to fully commit to it because we all have work and shit.
Yeah.
So when we say, okay, we wanted to do this, we approach other parties. I'm not gonna name. Can I name? Fuck it, I'm not gonna name it. But we're going to do like docu-series, you know, documentations,
Yeah.
documentaries where we're highlighting, like we're doing a proper production about the certain scenes in Malaysia and
Mhm.
making it, you know, something that we can set in, or it's not set in stone, but like have something to show.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of documentation in Malaysia, period, about like current and more relevant things that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're trying to like do that, but we were never going to be able to do that if we're not collaborating with other parties. You know,
Definitely. Yeah.
they have the expertise, they have the also have the time, and they also have the same passion to see these things come to life as much as we want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, get out of your bubble. I think get out of the like that shell.
Yeah,
I'm not
definitely.
talking about you. Obviously, you're like the opposite of that, but
Yeah.
it's good that you have that like approach because um like I've met a handful of artists that really don't see it like that. I've met a lot of friends and like, you know,
People get trust issues, man. Like
related
artists
to.
get trust issues, though.
Why do you
Like
think that's the case?
no, I mean I'm just like spitballing here, but I think they just I respect what they do because I'm also really into art and stuff, and I had in the past do some kind of artwork, that is just me and my rationale behind it, and I just did everything on myself. It's cool, but in my role as a designer right now, I could never do that,
Yeah.
because and all these good works they take a team
Yeah.
to finish it. But I think it depends on like which role or like
I mean, obviously, there's more power to certain roles.
yeah. I mean,
Is that what you wanted to say?
not necessary though. I wouldn't say that.
No.
Yeah, but like the art I'm talking about here, like this artist that I'm mentioning, is more like fine arts.
Right. Okay.
So those are like in the capacity they can work on, they could really do some great work on themselves.
Sure.
Although they are like big names that of course they hire like a lot of
No, but I do.
interns and
But
stuff.
even those like artists that like can say that they can make it themselves, there are other players.
Yeah, that's true.
There's
That's
the
true.
curators, for example, and you think that some artists don't reach out to curators and network and stuff.
Yeah,
There's
you're right,
always
you're
going
right.
to be other, or they want to commission some material, for example.
Yeah,
For example,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't do it themselves. Then they get other people. So there's that process. The make. I mean, obviously there are instances where that's the only 1%, but looking it through that lens is very limiting.
yeah,
And kind of blinds you from the potential of just being able to open up and work with others.
yeah,
But I wanted to talk to you about this like redundancy that happens in bubbles. With graphic design in particular.
Mhm.
I've talked to Naki. I don't know if you know Naki actually.
Manaki here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know Naki.
Yeah.
For some reason. So I talked to Naki and I was just asking these kinds of like trends that are happening with graphic designers in I would say globally, but also like I want to focus on Malaysian, certain elements that are so obviously redundant. Certain elements of graphic designs that are very popular and trendy,
Yeah.
and that people just seem to like rehash
Yeah.
in parts of their work. What do you see about that? And is it because of that bubble?
Can I have like a more explicit of example? What do you mean by
Chrome,
redundant? Okay.
and like certain kind of like fonts. So I don't know, maybe it was last year where all the t-shirt designs are all these like vectors of the globe and shit. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about those kinds of like redundancies in work, or is it something that you think is fine for whatever reason, that whatever purpose that it was meant for?
I think in like the grander purpose of, let's say, I mean, hypothetically, this design progress in Malaysia, right? I think it's okay because yes, I admit that we are like a little bit, like
Behind?
behind. It's not that we're like slow,
In
but
what sense?
in just perceiving trends and accepting new trends as well. So there is the part that the designer or like the creator, let's say in this case, that they know what is good, but it's also hard to synthesize it for like the majority of Malaysians, let's say, and this will take further like more years for that to happen. And I think this comes with the problem that we just don't have this strong, let's say,
Identity?
I was gonna say identity, but it's more like we just don't like our own identity in some way, not to say like
Or we're
nationalistic
not
way.
able, or we're not able to like tap into that, because yeah, I mean, I like refer to Chong Yan, like he
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, we have such a strong identity because of our rojakness
Yeah,
and
but these are just yes, visually we have super strong identity, definitely.
yeah,
But then it's not all the time that we can just repurpose this visually.
right. Yeah, I
Because
mean that's what I mean though. Like, um, okay, I'll take an example, like a
for sure,
personal
for sure.
example with like when me and Alicia we visited Milan,
Yeah.
and before that, prior also, she started like exploring these design elements with a lot of curves, and I don't know what the words are, but like
Yeah.
these like kind of curvy whatever shit.
Yeah.
And she was like, "There's a strong, this style is very strong and coming up from Milan." And then I was like, "Why is that the case?" And she was like, "I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know." So we went there to Milan, and then we were looking at the Duomo, or I think whatever
Yeah,
the big
Duomo di Milano,
cathedral,
yeah.
and we were looking at the building and on top of it, and
Yeah.
like there's a lot of those elements where it's like I can see it in her designs also, like similar kind of aesthetic elements that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Oh wow, it's so prevalent in this. I don't know how old this fucking church is, this cathedral is, 500, 1,000 years or whatever, that it bleeds into like the design styles of 2020
Yeah.
or 2019, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're necessarily saying how do I translate Italian culture into
No,
my
of course
design,
not, yeah.
but it's just things that they're surrounded by, these kind of influences that they just tap into their identities.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what artists do. They kind of like take out things that they can access and they have influence around them onto designed elements. For example, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about graphic design.
Yeah. But I think it's tough because we don't have like a monocultured past. We never had one in Malaysia as well.
Monoculture.
Yeah.
You wanna explain?
So it's like it's the opposite of rojak, right? What you mentioned, this rojakness.
okay,
so
okay.
monoculture is just this only singular culture.
Right.
Like a very good example of this could be let's
Italy.
say,
You can say Italy.
well,
Right?
I would say like Japan more though.
Okay.
Like, Japan is like super monocultured.
Yeah.
In terms of like the people and the language as well.
Behavior,
Exactly.
society.
So it's not like a bad thing. It's just that there is a really singular source of culture, and you can really trace it back, and you can maybe perhaps easier to trust this singular source.
Right.
And for us, it's so fractured in that sense that it's hard to like pinpoint, what is the
it
true
exactly?
Malaysian culture. There
Yeah.
isn't really one to begin with. There was never one as well.
Okay.
And also in terms of like thought as well, we will also have all this what is it called? Post-colonial influences. That's why we look so much to the West all the time, even now.
In comparison to Japan, who didn't have that.
Yeah, they never had that, and they were always like, whatever the West is doing, fuck the West.
So let me just confirm or like correct me if I'm wrong. So you were saying this monoculture thing is that contohnya the Zen aesthetic and minimalism, and they go hand in hand. Like the minimalism kind of trend in Japan goes hand in hand with like this whole Zen thing that they've had for like centuries and shit.
Yeah, it could be that as well, and it also could be like this big artist that collaborated with what's it called, Billie Eilish. Do you know this crazy colorful? Oh man, this name slipped my mind now. Yeah, Well, you know who I'm
The
talking
flowers.
about. Yeah,
The flowers.
flowers. Yeah,
Yeah. That's a big guy in the whole streetwear scene, man.
yeah, true. But then he's from Japan, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of if you look into like history, there's like in the 80s, they've been doing this kind of style already, though.
Japan.
Yeah, in Japan.
Oh, they've been doing it for a while. you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, like this
Okay.
craziness, you know, or
Oh,
like
okay.
maybe there is like an underlying, you know, rationale behind why they would do this, or there's some reference, or maybe it's just, you know, I'm just like spitballing again. Like maybe it's like to escape this,
Okay, sure.
whatever, you know.
But how does it
normalcy.
relate to that monocultural thing that you mentioned?
Well, for them, they are a strong export of culture
Right.
compared to us,
Okay.
you know, and that's why I'm just thinking maybe it could be this monoculturalism that enables.
Them to be able to export it so
Exactly.
easily.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So,
So-
if we were to say let's package Malaysian identity
Yeah, it's impossible.
aesthetically
Yeah.
or design wise, how are you
Yeah.
going to do that? You
Yeah,
can't.
it's I can't do it though.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
because we always. I mean, I
You're right. You're right. I talked to this with, I don't know if you know Ice Guy, this producer, and he was like, "Fine, what's Malaysian identity?" And then I was just like, "Well, there are certain things, but like, yeah, Roja is a big part of it. It's
Yeah.
a bunch of everything.
Yeah.
But when you pose that question, how do you package a bunch of everything and export it
Yeah,
to the rest of the world?"
exactly, because then it's gonna be like really cliche, you know, like what nasi lemak, you know, this like really lame.
Yeah. Okay.
lame-ass,
Sure. That's
you know,
probably why
aesthetics.
then we're just like so persistent with like these like zapin dances and these like
Yeah.
really traditional kind of
Yeah.
customs and stuff that
Yeah,
for me is no longer relevant.
of course.
Um, because we can't get past these like fractured
Yeah.
elements of our identity.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also, you know, all these problems that, you know, when we refer to identity, there's this age gap. You know, there is like and in Malaysia, there's like, you know, different races, different people. It's so hard to just say, oh, you know what, this is Malaysian. This is what being a Malaysian is. Other than we all say lie and all these things. It's so fucking lame. I'm so done with this. You know,
Okay.
to have this.
Not very open-minded of you. I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, but it's been, this song has been sung for like the thousandth time. You
Yeah.
know, it's boring. Like
True.
there should be some new forms of.
But there are like different countries that are similar to us, right? There has to be.
Like, what do you mean?
Singapore face the same thing.
Okay, I'm not sure now though, but before I did talk to some friends, Singaporean friends as well.
They feel the same way.
No, they gave me an insight on like at that time, which was like now, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. So this could be like outdated.
Yeah.
Just this disclaimer a little bit, but they told me like at that time there is like studios and design that are really making this very Swiss type of style. You know what Swiss design is? So it's really like grid based. It's black and white. It's really like
Right.
Helvetica type, you know,
Oh, okay.
and really functional, very
Okay.
unornamental, let's say.
Shit that's still happening now,
Yeah, shit, that's still happening now.
right?
But I think we were like discussing this could be the case for Singapore because they are a country of like systems,
Right.
you know, and they're really basing it on systems. So there isn't really like a, let's say, descriptive
Culture.
culture that can you really, you know, visualize something. That there's nothing like that, you
Right.
know,
Other than
other than systems that is
Yeah.
prevalent in their culture and
Yeah.
society. So people get this, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and this
Fun,
yeah,
fun.
yeah, it's just an example.
It's
you know?
cute though. I mean, it's a cute example.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for that we can say with Malaysia, zero systems. You know, so it could be just a bunch of
Yeah,
shit.
it could be. That could be like the main force, you know, of designing things like fuck systems, man. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I do. This conversation could go on now because we can be more informed and be like really theoretical with it and really
Yeah.
discover, okay, what is post-colonial thought and how has it really like informed our aesthetic understanding and preferences and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, I keep referring to saying to people, but like buildings, for example, like globalization happened, all the buildings started to look like glass boxes.
Yeah.
Like this fucking building at the back, Menara Ken just looks completely devoid of any sort of identity
yeah.
except for the most boring fucking thing, right? Like you see it every single country, you see the same kind of style.
Yeah.
But we used to have things that like the houses,
Yeah.
the pointy tops, and kita ada rumah panjang, and we have like things that we can take references from. But like more and more is because of post-colonialism, we lose that interest to keep that aesthetic preference to the things around us and kind of assimilate with what the West looks like.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say like, I think this West that you mentioned is also super idealized.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
And
for sure.
and it's not
Like,
like,
point which city you're talking about. You know what? Where in the West is it like
exactly.
where we want to be like the most?
Yeah. And I just think that in pursuit of this imaginary West, I think we just are just deleting our identity somehow, or not
Yeah.
deleting, but just like forgetting it. And
It's weird, right? Like, why? You think people have
It's-
when we say West, right?
Yeah.
We can't really we can't really pinpoint where it is.
well,
But
no,
because
No.
it's really just
but
like
it's
idealized.
different. Yeah, it's different for me and you because we did, study
Yeah,
abroad,
true.
so we can maybe
Say.
pinpoint, which
We're
Western
talking about.
influence we're talking about now, But otherwise, it's quite hard. And the downside of this that we are pursuing something that is maybe imaginary, and yeah,
That's a big claim, and I think I agree with it though.
no, it is, like we just like people that have maybe never left Malaysia. It's
But that's the reality for most Malaysians.
definitely,
So how can we adapt or control this influence or this ideal a little bit more than how we are right now? These things aren't. I mean, what are they informed by? Movies?
Yeah, that's why it's really hard to like decolonize
Right.
culture and like the things that we consume as well because we've been. I mean, I grew up with English cartoons, Tom and
I mean,
Jerry, shit like that.
sure, that's one thing, lah. But that's that's super fucking deep already. Like language, for example,
Yeah.
it's hard for us to really separate from English.
Yeah.
But maybe a more something that we can really easier to control would be like, why the fuck do we like London so much?
Exactly. That's the post-colonial thought, like that,
Yeah.
wearing like Union Jack T-shirts.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Or they are like Mini Coopers with the Union Jack
Yeah,
print
exactly. Let's go.
Like, why exactly are we so fucking enamored by?
Even just the accent, no, like
Dude, I fucking hate the accent.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm on a rampage right now, but like, not condoning UK British music in Safe House or like in general
shit.
within
I
my
know about
vicinity.
this though,
But it's nothing to do with decolonization, man. I just don't like their fucking
No,
accents.
it's just I think it's really
But why do we like London so much when it's rainy, it's disgusting, it's gross, it's cold, it's not even, it's not even idealized in the way that you would assume these like cold countries to be idealized,
it's deep-seated post-colonial thought, man. I'm pretty sure though.
It's
like,
not nice. London's not nice.
I mean-
London's like one of the last places that I want to be at. When I was in Berlin, I was just like, no, I don't want to be in London. It rains 75% of the time. I mean, it rains here also, but like
Yeah.
over there, it's cold.
Yeah, you're right.
You
you're
know,
right.
it's like not. When it rains here, you're like, oh fuck, I can like stay in bed.
Yeah.
It's nice inside.
I don't know. I guess it's always boils back to the phrase, right? The grass is always greener on the other side. That people that haven't been always have this.
But
"Oh,
people who
like-"
have been is still
Yeah,
super
it's-
fucking into
there-
it also.
Yeah, but there is this. Was it called again? Like the Paris syndrome. Have you heard about this?
No.
Like it's.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry, I cut
it's
you off.
basically that people have this crazy, romantic
Yeah.
imagination of Paris in their head, and
Yeah.
then when they're there, it's like trash.
Dude.
It's actually called the Paris syndrome. You can
Really?
check this out.
I went to Paris to visit my friend.
Yeah.
They were in Reims, which is like a little bit outside of Paris, but I
Yeah.
had to obviously go there first from the airport.
Yeah.
So I went to the airport and took the train, the metro, or whatever it is, from the airport to my friend's place who was in Paris. I want to stay there for a night.
Yeah.
I went just like literally right off the plane. 15-20 minute walk to the right off the plane, 15-20 minute walk to the train,
Yeah.
and then I sit down and I look to my left at the fucking walkway. There's a huge puddle of piss.
Oh boy.
That was disgusting. It was
Yeah.
like fucking. But I was just like, oh my god, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm greeted by the most romantic city in the world. Everybody fucking loves it. By a puddle of piss in the train.
Yeah.
And there's so many more experiences. I was there when I was like 18 with my brother, and like some guy was like asking us if we're gay and we want to model and shit, and we were like underage,
Damn.
and or like tried to get robbed and stuff. Like it's not. It's not as beautiful as people make it seem to be.
Yeah, definitely not.
But for some reason, I guess
Yeah.
like they've never had that experience.
Yeah, yeah,
But what I'm saying is, to those people that have been to London, still a lot of people I
Yeah,
know
you're
like
right.
still love it. You know, still
Yeah.
are just like, oh wow.
Well, I'm not gonna shit talk about London. I mean, you can take my
Fucking
example,
hell,
you know,
London.
because well, I mean, I studied in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are pros and cons about this, though, you know. So, but for me, it's still okay. You know, like I like it, but like I get homesick from the Netherlands sometimes. You know, yeah, I do, because
Yeah.
I really like throw myself in that.
But Netherlands is also one of those places that's just like, oh, we
Yeah,
are.
it's basically London.
Yeah, it's like, we
Like-
are multi-culti, blah blah blah. Like we don't, but in essence, you're like, oh, Amsterdam is 30-minute walk to walk around Amsterdam or some shit. You know, it's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
small. There's not much to do other than
Smoke weed.
smoke weed. You know, we're just like, fuck, I want to go to Amsterdam so bad.
Yeah, but these are also just like, you know, the usual.
But you want to live there though. You want to work there, so it's different.
Yeah, but it's
That's
different.
post-colonial thought.
No, but that I don't have this imagination of like, oh, you know, I want to live in Amsterdam. I want to like, you know, bike to work, ride in the canals like 24 hours. I don't have that. I live in The Hague. You know, I studied in The Hague and I lived there for like 5 years, and it's quite different from Amsterdam. You know,
Yeah.
this kind of touristic.
The Hague is
view.
where the government is.
Yeah, and it's quite boring actually. There's
Yeah.
also
I
very
mean,
little culture and
Just
stuff.
imagine Putrajaya lah.
Yeah.
Just imagine you
Basically,
living
yeah,
in Putrajaya.
it's like clean as hell. Not really any culture going on. You know, there's
No.
like 2 clubs in the city or something.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, you know, make that comparison. Like, why the fuck do we like look towards the West so much? And I think that goes permeates to like art forms and how we make art. You know, we're always looking into. I mean, I guess we're taking influences from the internet, which is like global and dispersed. It's not really centralized into one location. But you can make it be like that Milan example that I was saying just
Yeah.
now. You know, that you can create your own communities where you're all influenced by things that are like around us.
yeah,
I don't know how because I'm not an artist, but that's why I'm talking to you.
yep. Well, I'm not also like this crazy like you know, authority on what is like culture and aesthetic influences, but I would say like maybe this we come back to this word, you know, this phrase of this rojak thing.
Yeah.
So I think to make a rojak, you need to know what makes this rojak, right?
Yeah, true.
So you really have to like dissect what makes up this rojak, I think, and especially for like creative practitioners, they can just think about, okay, you know, like what makes whatever you're focusing on, like this rojak kind of culture or aesthetics, what makes it cool, you know,
Yeah.
and then maybe you can pick that singular essence out. And then maybe try to work something with it or add another element to it. I know.
I mean, dude, that is the framework where you have to do as an artist. You know, you don't just practice. You know, you don't just like say, "Oh, I can do that, therefore I shall." You kind of have to be critical about things and think about where you get it and why you're doing it.
yeah,
Yeah, people kind of miss that aspect of it quite a lot, lah. That's why it's so easy to just cut and paste certain things,
yeah.
especially London's influence. So I don't know, man. Like, you know what ticked me off? I was just like, why are we trying to like make grime music and have fake accents and shit? And it's just like,
I don't know, man. Like
I mean, make your own kind of grime. It's like they don't have to fucking talk like that.
yeah.
That's like, that was like where I drew the line. I was like, this is too much.
I think it's just not like, I don't know.
Do you-
Maybe. Sorry,
No, keep going.
I'm just gonna say maybe, you know, like, yeah, we just don't value being Malaysian as much, you know.
No, we
like,
don't.
It's like being Malaysian is like, oh man, third world country, like trash tier, whatever the fuck, you know.
No, but I love it so much, man.
Yeah, me too. But then, there's something unique about this, you know, being Malaysian, I guess.
Like, it's so fucking chill, and that's why I hate Singapore so much.
Damn, this got political real fast though. Like, okay.
Dude, just like the comparison, you know, just like think about when you think about Singapore, you know, you point to me like any artist or anything that's going on there. Every time I go scroll through Instagram, it's just like, oh fuck, this is cool, and then I click their profile and they're like Singapore. I was like, fuck this, I blocked them and shit. I was just like, this is not what I'm trying to be like, because the way that they are is so the way that they are is so not chill, you know. It's so like you said, it's structured and it's systems, and it's like, oh, we're supposed to be certain ways.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that kind of demotivated me and hindered me to really want fully fledged do creative in the first place in Malaysia. Dulu, like back then, um because of these, like, you know, things are supposed to be certain ways.
Yeah.
And what I like about it here is that, you know, it's so fucking like free for all.
Yeah.
Which makes me want to relate to the ethics thing.
Oh boy, here we go.
So
Bring it on.
I mean, we'll talk for another 15 minutes. We're almost at the 1 hour mark, but I wanted to have this conversation with Kim because he's like, you know, just really the guy to be on my ass about shit. But
Come on.
I want that there are a lot of instances nowadays where creatives, I mean, it doesn't matter lah, whatever artists or creatives or whoever, take other art on the internet, and kind of like modify or like turn it into their own, or sometimes to the point where they don't really do much about it but profit from it.
Yep.
It becomes like a problem. So there's like platforms or Instagram accounts like Diet Prada, who focus on it on a fashion point of view, where they say certain brands take it from small designers and stuff. They just take a lot of the same elements and it looks exactly the same. Or even there's like smaller scale artists or smaller scale brands that take it from small artists. They just like, oh, they see something cool that they like on Instagram, and then they kind of just take it what it is, maybe repurpose and interpret it differently, and then sell it off. So what I wanted to say on Instagram that time, couple of weeks ago, I was like, okay, hey guys, what are we supposed to do when these kinds of things happen and occur? And if someone takes a certain thing and then there's some sort of minimal addition or interpretation of it, minimal, because this is where the debate is.
Yeah.
And what should we do? And then Kin, you want to enlighten us on what exactly should we do in this certain case?
Well, I mean, again, I'm not the authority.
You're not the authority.
What intellectual
I don't have
property
any
is,
authorities that come to the show.
Yeah, no, but I would just, I think that the best course of action is, to educate people that which I told you just now, right? What is copying, and what makes an influence, and what makes like copying, you know? So because there is, when you're, I guess this comes with experience as well. When you're like working long enough in your own field,
professionalism, you mean? Or what do you mean working?
Actually,
like experience or professionalism?
No, experience
Okay.
in general. But I think when I just was saying this, I just thought that it works differently for fashion as well. Because fashion, like, why I would say this, because like this, the example that we mentioned about this copy of a photography being pasted on a sweater or t-shirt, and there was a logo on top of it, and there was some like color changes to it. So this was a bit different than like fashion that, because in fashion world everyone copies each other. That's just how it works. Okay. You know?
Okay.
That's a different rule.
But I mean that's also
why Diet Prada exists.
I mean that's also a different conversation, because I mean what I wanted to highlight more is about just like, sure, number one is like ethics and how things should be, and number two is just the interaction of art on the internet. You know, and there's a lot of like what I said that the same similar elements of graphic design, where you say the world, the globe vector, you know, whereas you know, those like grids and stuff, and then these like things that you see all the time is copy pasted. It's just these similar elements, and once you grown tired of that, you can still, you know, establish the same kind of method, cutting and pasting from things that you can get on the internet, and that's because artworks and art in general are just there, so easily accessible for everyone there, because you know that's just how it works. Once you release a song, there's nothing stopping from someone else to download that song illegally. There's
but this has more, I think, towards the use of internet than art, the art itself, though, and how to use art itself. It's more like it's, for example, in the beginning, you know, when the internet is like younger, let's say maybe 10 years ago or something, and YouTube was like the Wild West, you know, like people can post anything and there was not any repercussion. You won't get banned for shit, you know. And now any remotely edgy things, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get like
I mean,
a
there's
strike.
also
You
like
know?
fucking track ID and content and
Yeah.
whatever, all
Yeah.
these things.
So I think it just comes with like which I hope not. Maybe you were advocating for this kind of this Wild West
Yeah.
like kind of image collecting, or you can just do whatever the fuck you want with your own content. But maybe there could be a point in the future that this was not possible anymore.
Like, how?
Like maybe everything has to be like
Credited? Is that what you
maybe
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the dilemma that me and Ken are having. It's more about just like, okay, so how do we approach these things? There's one thing where you're just like advocating for ethics and
Yeah.
crediting and source referencing your sources and
Yeah.
the places that you get certain elements or references or inspirations, or even if you take the thing itself,
Yeah.
it's still with the consent of like the artist prior who created those things. I think that should be set in stone also. That's like something that is a given. However, I do think that the internet was also populated by everyone else in the world who don't
Yes.
understand, simple referencing and crediting. And I want to know like how we as a like focusing on this for this podcast, like we as Malaysian creators who want to approach the internet as an infinite resource library,
Yes.
in a way where it is conducive and beneficial to the creative world. Do we want to limit the creation of art and the experimentation of art, taking from whatever it is and however you want to, and the meaning, loosening up the meaning of what it means to make art,
Yeah.
versus just like being systematized and crediting and understanding the correct process of things, and how correct procedure of things and how things should be.
Yeah, I think if you are not like if it's a personal project that has no like monetary
Value.
no, not say monetary value, but like you don't get paid for it, for example. So I think that is still possible
Okay.
to work with like the this vast library of the internet, or with like
Okay.
art or music or whatever the fuck you find there.
But you can't sell it.
But I don't think you should sell it. I mean, it's not. I would
For
say
all
that
those producers using type beats that they got from YouTube, you cannot put it on Spotify.
no, I mean like
You
I don't even know. Like, do you get paid from Spotify?
Yeah,
actually?
you do. I got paid.
Okay.
Not a lot, but that's monetary value, right?
Yeah, but when you were mentioning this YouTube thing though, was it like people make beats to sell them, or was it like a sample?
Like YouTube type beats, which is like literally beats and then people rap over it.
Uh-huh.
Kieran does that all the time, right? You can't rap over YouTube type beats and make money from it. What's the ethical thing? Rapping over type beats. Don't know.
No, okay.
Just say out what you think. You can. You can. Yes, you can. You can. When they claim it, then you have to deal with it, lah. But like, if they don't know about it, then they don't know about it, lah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, I guess if you're not big enough, you can do whatever the fuck you want, kind of.
That's what your point.
No, which is not really a good point in that sense, because then, what is the limit, right? How are you gonna get to the end of this? You know, like.
Exactly.
Are you going to be big enough? Then you're like, oh shit, now is the time that I'm going to stop stealing things from the internet and making everything my own. You know, because all these things, they
I like the Wild West. Because
Well,
it's
I like
easier
the Wild
for
West
people.
too.
Because it's easier for kids who don't know how to do shit to do shit.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I want things to happen, and I understand like the commercialization and profitability aspect.
Yeah. No, I'm not
But
like.
if I was a creator of a type beat, I would want everyone to make money, man. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, for sure. Like, I mean, to like derail this a bit, you know, like with the internet and IT, the world of IT, everything is about open sourcing. You know, like there is no singular
Like
ownership or something, and you
Yeah.
can just take the code and do what the fuck you want with it, and you can make something new.
Yeah.
So I'm not like censoring people and tell them they shouldn't make things from Google or some stuff. You know, like they can do that. You know, but it's good to know that there is this legal thing that happens behind, and it's regardless that you want this to happen or not. It's not up to us to decide that.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think this is like copyright or not? It doesn't. It's not up to us sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure that there is a legal basis to things, lah. Definitely. But so in this case, like with the example that we pick, was there a legal basis to it? Was there a legal conclusion to it?
Yeah, well, this also gets more tough because then if you're like from different countries, then you get a different jurisdiction.
But
like,
also, like I said, there's like different interpretations. Like, so in this example is that somebody took this person's photograph and slapped the logo on it and changed the colors.
Yeah.
To Kin, that's not grounds for to say that there's like interpretation or change of the art.
Yeah, because what is being
but like if in a legal sense, what would that be?
What do you mean by that? Like,
in legally, would they agree with you and say that there's not much change to it?
Yeah, but that's also the thing that it gets blurred here. This is where it gets blurred because, like you said, it's reinterpreted. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it just cause.
Yeah, no. But there is like only so much so little you can do to reinterpret these things. So, I don't know. I think it was a good example.
Yeah.
Of this T-shirt thing that it's just copy pasted though,
Yeah, I mean, sure. So, yeah, I mean, okay, sure. I think ethics is important. Definitely. If you are a creator, like it's not nice when you see your work being used for something else, and definitely not being used for someone else's profit. And I think we all can really understand it once we end up doing this, or we end up taking references and stuff. As artists, we are able to source and credit the reference and credit the sources appropriately. However, I don't want it to hinder people from making shit. I think that
I think you come from a good place as well, because you say that in the way that you don't want people to stop themselves from making stuff. But this was like a corporation kind of, right? That
no, it wasn't a corporation. It was a brand. It was like independent brand.
Yeah, well, but then they advocate for individuality, and then they just rip off.
I don't know. I don't even care about the brand, man. But like,
okay.
But yeah, dude, these kind of conversations I've had, this is maybe the fourth or fifth one where I'm going to lead. I'm almost at the end, and then the conversation for like the future of this, the technology wise with NFTs and blockchain, and how it could really improve or like fix the situation. But I'm not ready to talk about that yet because I don't fully understand it completely just yet.
Yeah, it's a pyramid scheme, by the way.
Okay, so that's still another conversation that I don't want to have for this episode. But I think it might be, right? Like it might solve certain issues of crediting and ownership of certain art.
Yeah.
I really cannot say much more than that because I'm damn limited about this. But hopefully we reach like a system or tool within the internet to be able to really, for example, if you release your beats on this like track, there's a lot of these kinds of platforms where they don't allow you to copy paste and download explicitly, right? And there are those kinds of platforms in place.
Yeah.
But it's just not universalized across the internet just yet. So maybe something like the NFTs and stuff could fix it.
I'm also not that expert enough in the sense
You're not
of
that keen on it as well?
relating NFT to ownership.
Right.
I have a few friends that does NFT, and one of them actually got quite some money from this. Yeah, he's like, it's almost his full-time job now, I think.
Right.
Just earning from NFTs or from, I don't even know what the market is called again, like foundation, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how this actually solves ownership in general.
Yeah.
But I had another thought that when you mentioned about people are nonetheless gonna go on the internet, right, and take things and reappropriate things and use it for influence or whatever the fuck. So like it's free to do this, right? It's also free to
credit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
it's not free to credit. Sometimes you have to pay.
Yeah, I mean
like samples you have to clear and shit, you still have to pay some kind of fee.
Yeah, I mean like it's just like you can just add them, I don't know, on your social media, some shit.
That's different though. What if they ask for payment? They cannot.
Well then that's the whole legal system coming down already, right? It becomes sketchy, right? So then because then your motivation for not crediting
Yeah.
is to not get sued. Is that it though?
No, your motivation to not credit thing is not to shell out money that you don't have.
Okay.
Potentially, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just say that these are obstacles.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I just think the democratization of art. Contohnya, right?
Yeah.
Contohnya,
Come.
people making music nowadays, most of these local rappers, for example, or like these bedroom producers and musicians, singers,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily own the software they're making the music on.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they had to pay for it and credit it,
Yeah.
appropriately, use it legally within that system, you don't think the creators of the developers of these softwares are creatives and artists?
Well, I think it's a bit tough to compare different art forms actually, because I did send you this example about this Migos stealing this
Oh yeah, yeah,
rap
yeah.
track from
Right.
this.
Yeah. No, but that's different though. That's not what I meant. But whatever lah. What I'm saying is that there are things that we as creatives and artists just take without
Yeah.
fully, abiding to like the legal way or like the ethical way of doing things.
Yeah, true. But the thing that thing we take from this program is because the program is a tool. It functions as a tool,
Yeah.
and the product is from you.
Yes.
You know.
No, but not necessarily, not just the tool. They are What I'm saying is the developers kind of it's a product. It's still things that they put
Yeah,
out
but
and that
I
they
know,
sell.
I know, but you use it as a tool. You know.
Yeah, I know, but like, sure, it could go for a bunch of things, right?
No, but like, it's like the mic that we're using now is a product, but it's a tool for this podcast.
Yeah. So if I
You
stole
could've
the
stole
mic, so I stole the mic,
Yeah.
and it's fine within the grounds of this artist, art talk and
Well,
ethics, art ethics world.
in your Wild West world, maybe it could be fine.
I think everything is fine as long as you're able to make the shit that you want to make, despite if it's a tool or if it's a product or if it's
Farhan is advocating for stealing to make art.
piracy.
Piracy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
You would steal a car.
I wouldn't steal a car because I wouldn't know how, and I like my car. But anyway, we reached the 1 hour mark, so I think that
Yeah.
ends and caps our heated debate.
I was going to
about-
say debate, but I guess it was a debate. I don't know.
But thank you very much, Ken, for showing up to this episode of
Thank you for
Sefas
having me.
Presents Mula Murai. Appreciate your insight and always appreciate your company. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.